Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So this time, in the binomial distribution class, right, or part, we're going to discuss about zero, right? The zeroth try, I would rather call it. Because I mentioned it here, I said you would go all the way back from 15 to, first, and then I said, you know what, zeroth is included as well, right? This is another important thing that zeroth is actually a try, like it exists in binomial distribution and only in binomial distributions. When you learn about geometric distribution, you don't have a zero. These are one of the big differences in binomial distribution and geometric distribution. Once we're done with both of the distributions, then we're finally going to sit down and see what are the big differences between both of these distributions. So again, I'm going to be following this same question. Amanda's flipping a coin, a biased coin 15 times. The what should I call them? The data rests or resides with us, right? P is, I'm just going to write it in here. N is 15, P is 0.67, and this Q is going to be 0.33. And now look, I'm going to write a C part, right? So over here, we said at least. If you've got yourself an at least, then why not say that find the probability that she obtains, don't mind my writing though, obtains a heads at most this time. At most. Two times. So out of the 15 times, at most two times. Now look, at most is just the opposite of at least. So if at least is greater than or equal to, right, then, I mean, guess what? This is going to be less than or equal to, right? So what she's saying is that, look, there is still a probability that even if she, flips the coin 15 times, she doesn't get, a heads even once. There is still a chance. I mean, it sounds impossible that somebody is going to flip, even if it's biased, a coin 15 times, you're not going to get a heads. I mean, yeah, it is a I mean, it sounds kind of impossible, but still mathematically, theoretically, the possibility, the probability still remains there. So at most is going to be there. So if I write the tries all over again, there's the 15th try, the 14th try on, and then finally you have the 5th try, the 4th try, the 3rd try, the 2nd try, the 1st try, and then the 0th try. No, look, from 0th I mean, you know what? These aren't actually tries. These are the number of times she is going to receive. You know what? I made a mistake by calling it a try. It's not a try. It's actually the number of times. It's just the number of R, we can call it, right? The number of times she is going to obtain a heads. Out of the 15 times, they said at most two times, right? So maybe she's going to receive a heads two times out of the 15 times. Maybe she's going to receive it only once, and maybe she's not going to receive it at all. Meaning, in all of this 15 times she tries to flip the coin, she's only going to obtain a tails and no heads. I mean, that is a possibility as well, right? So how do you find it? P, the probability of X, the random variable, less than or equal to Y because it's at most 2, right? No, look, it's just the opposite of this, right? Just the opposite of this. This would be the probability for 0, the probability of her obtaining it once and the probability of her obtaining it twice. Right? Now, the reason I had to mention this as a second part in a specific video was because remember one thing. Always remember, every time you're trying to count every time you're trying to count the number of R's from the very beginning, you have to include 0 as well. You would always include 0. 0 is always going to be there. Why? Because there's always a chance that the success doesn't even happen once. Even if she's going to be flipping the coin 1,000 times, still there's a probability that all she gets herself are just 1,000 tails and no heads. So for no heads, or I'm sorry, for the number of success to be 0, that can also be the case, right? So this is why you should always include a 0 as well. Now, how would you solve this? NCR would be 15C0. 0.670, and 0.33 would be 15 minus 0, right? And then you add 1, that would be 15C1, 0.67 and 0.33, 15 minus 1. I had to write it as a minus. Yep, there we go. And for the second one, 15C2, 0.67, that looks more like a 6. My bad. 2 and 0.33, this is going to be 15 minus 2. This is it. Look, that's it. This is going to be your answer. This was it for the fourth part. And now for the fifth part, we're going to learn more about, you know what? Let me give you a question. Let's say this wasn't two, this wasn't at most two. This was more like at most 14 times. Are you going to sit in the exam and do this in like 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7? Are you just going to keep on doing that manually? No. There's a better technique than that. I mean, obviously, for now, we had only three of them to do, right? In the exam, mostly, I mean, at most, you might have to do five of these, or, like four of these, or three of these, like we did right now, right? But what if there's more than five? What if there are 10 of these? Are you going to keep on doing that manually? Because, like I said, the biggest currency, the most precious thing that you're going to have inside your exam is not your preparation. It's more like your time is way more precious than anything. So if you're going to keep on wasting your time doing the stuff manually, if the number of these things increases, you're just going to be wasting your time. So there is a technique. We're going to learn that in the D part, right? And that would be about part number 5, right? So that's it for today. Inshallah ta'ala. The next one we're going to do, the fifth part. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.